actually started November 2017. That's when I decided to spontaneously purchase a ticket for Europe. I've been to Europe before, and this time I realized that I was going to do a lot of walking, so I started an aggressive exercise regimen. I walked every day for miles. Even during the cold winter months, I was not discouraged. I just kept walking. So on April the 12th, I took a British Airways flight from Chicago O'Hare International Airport to London Heathrow, and there I was, packed on the tube. I found the Good Hotel. It was a beautiful little boutique hotel that was built upon a barge. My room was adequate, and I had lots of plans, and I had 61 days and 14 hours to enjoy myself before I made the return trip to Chicago. So I went sightseeing. One of the places I always wanted to go was to the Selfridges department store, since Selfridges originated in Chicago. Well, actually, the founder was a Chicagoan by the name of Gordon G. Selfridge. Anyway, so I did some sightseeing, and my big dream was to see Downton Abbey. So first, I took a little excursion to Oxford. I found ye old McDonald's. I even found some souvenirs of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. And then finally, as part of the excursion trip I took from London's Victoria Station, I finally made it to Bampton, which is the town used as the backdrop of Downton Abbey, the All Saints Church, Mrs. Crowley's house, and of course eventually to Downton Abbey itself, Highclere Castle. Guys, please don't hate me, but it was the time of my life. I couldn't believe it. I was like, how in the world did I get here? Oh, I remember, it was the British Airways flight I took. But it gets better. After I got there and I did all that sightseeing, my friend in Seville said, hey, you know what? I know you're having a good time. And see, my original plan was to use the first half of my trip, about 30 days, to spend in the UK. And then I would go to the wedding, and of course I would go to the continent and visit places like France and Spain and Italy and Germany. Spain, Portugal were two places I had never been before. So I'm like, all right, 3 weeks on the Iberian Peninsula. Well, I didn't know it was going to get hot. So my friend told me, he said, listen, it's going to be blazing hot. If you're going to come, you should come now. So after I finished up at Downton Abbey at Highclere Castle, eventually I went over to France for a couple of days. And of course I stayed in Paris. And then I took that high-speed rail from Paris to Barcelona. But anyway, that's another story. This is the view from my hostel in Florence. And that's the dome where I went earlier today, all the way to the top. Well, take a look at that chart there. That's how much walking I did in Florence. The 32 floors, that included the dome. Eventually, I had that beautiful, idyllic train ride back to London. So I had to pass through Italy and, of course, through the Alpine Mountains. And eventually, I had to go to France and spend another night in Paris. That was a thrill. But after Paris, that one night in Paris, it was off to London, where I was greeted with a cardboard cutout of Meghan and Harry. Well, all of that traveling by rail, I was totally fatigued. I mean, you could see it in my face here. I would say that all the color has gone out of my face, but I did that to be dramatic. I looked outside and I saw people, and I was just like, God, I wish I had the energy to go out there. But I was exhausted. Well, the next day I jumped up. I didn't really feel like going, but I said, well, let me make plans. I mean, that's why I'm here. So I just put my trust in God. I said, God, I didn't come this far to miss the wedding. Now, mind you, remember, when I bought my ticket, I didn't know there were going to be a wedding, but I remember when Princess Diana got married, so I thought the opportunity was just too great to miss. So, I made a plan to be there, and so there I was. I happened to be in London doing a royal wedding. Here's a panoramic view of the crowd. I could show you on a map where I was, but it doesn't matter. I was on a parade route just before they did that hook to go around to that long drive to the castle. You know what I mean? They left the castle, did that hook around, and so all of a sudden here comes those guys on horseback, and everybody's getting excited, and you can like hear some bells or whatever it was. So this is like the lead people coming through, and unfortunately my focus was thrown off by this big crowd of people. Now I was probably maybe 5 to maybe 8 people from. I could have pushed through, but I'm not that kind of person. I'm a little taller, so I decided that it was probably best if I stood back there and let the smaller people have an opportunity. Here they come. Yeah, you see that? Well, look, can you hear it? I took the sound out. But anyway, this was spectacular. I remember the excitement. Now, again, they're going to throw my focus off with all these arms and hands swailing, but that's how close I was to Meghan and Harry. Look at that. God, I'm not even 8 people back. I'm more like maybe 3 or 4 people. But you get the high ground if you're away from the pavement. So look at that. There they are. The focus is gone. But that's Meghan and Harry waving. And then I whipped my camera around, and this way I kept my focus. And anyway, that was a thrill of a lifetime. Well, as you can see, they're making their way down the street, and you'll notice that all of the images get kind of blurred out and everything, but what could I say? Anyway, here's a still photo of that same pass that they made. Right, there we go. And here's the general atmosphere. After they made the loop around, then you can see them from the other side. There's the bobbies. It's kind of cool to see them in their uniforms. And this is me in front of Windsor Castle. I love that hat. I know it's old and faded. Around the town of Windsor, everything was all decorated. And this guy right here, he's like the super fan. I just happened to take a picture with him. Look at those cheekbones. Wow. My skin looks good for somebody born in the 60s. Hey, check out the way people were dressed. And of course, I never had like real English fish and chips. This is where I purchased my flag. And of course, this guy is at all the events in that suit. There's another guy that has another suit just like that. That's the correspondence. They were renting out those spaces over the pubs for tens of thousands of dollars for access. I went to the Westminster Abbey after the wedding, and there's the stamps I purchased. There's the tomb of the unknown soldier. Now they ask that, please don't take any photos while you're here. Well, that was the one time I broke the rule about taking any type of photos or recordings in a sacred place, was to get a picture of the bouquet of flowers that were used by Meghan at the wedding. It's a tradition for royal brides to leave their flowers on the tomb of the unknown soldier at Westminster Abbey. Now, of course, the brides themselves do not actually bring the flowers there. It's done discreetly after the wedding, and then the next day, voila, there they were. Since I couldn't get into Meghan and Harry's wedding, I decided while I was visiting Edinburgh, I would just crash a wedding. So that's exactly what I did. Or was this Glasgow? Maybe this was Glasgow. Anyway, there was a wedding, so I decided to crash. I tried to make myself appear as though I was just a member of the family. Probably didn't work out too well. What do you think? And here I am on the train, first class virgin. Don't tell anybody I said that. And there is Kensington Palace. I want you to see the general atmosphere that I was able to enjoy when I was there. These are the gowns that were once worn by Diana, Princess of Wales. And I especially love the halo outfit. You remember how that one was used? And of course, where is it? Where is it? The purple dress. I love that one because that's the one she wore when she made a visit to Chicago. There it is. And then just by chance, I went to Kensington Palace. And while I was walking around, I asked this guy, I said, is that where they announced the wedding? And there it is right there. That's where Meghan and Harry stood. This is the gift shop at Windsor Castle. Just by chance, some soldiers were walking by. You can see that they're wearing the same uniform that Harry wore for the wedding. Here's a chance for me to stand in front of the St. George's Chapel. These are the steps that Meghan used on the wedding day. And this is where she exited the chapel. I wasn't allowed to take any photos inside. This time I didn't do it. Now there I am in the white circle. You see it back there? That's Meghan and Harry. This is me snapping that picture. I randomly found my image on television, blurry though it may be. There's the OG, Queen Elizabeth herself. And there's Meghan and Harry. Now this is Trooping the Color. How lucky could I be to see them not once, but twice on the same trip, the same vacation, holiday, whatever you want to call it. So I saw them going to Trooping the Color and then return, then the balcony scene. And there I am, along with the rest of the crowd in front of Buckingham Palace, Meghan and Harry leaving the event. There's one of the soldiers at the Buckingham Palace. As you can see, again, a chance to bring out the Union Jacks. There's the Clink, the hostel where I stayed. And look at there, the countdown, 25 minutes before my flight. There it is, the Boeing 747-400. Well, you won't believe this. I got the mother of all upgrades. I was concerned about my coach seat for legroom, my steerage compartment seat. They gave me an upgrade to Club World. That's the business class, Club World. Can you stand it? What a great way to end an amazing trip. I mean, this was like a tour of Europe like none other.
This one?
For 64 days, I traveled across the UK and the continent. There's that plush Club World seat. Well, if I had to put the whole thing into perspective, I would have to say that the chance, the by chance opportunity, just by chance, I ordered a ticket on Thanksgiving for a trip to London. I was going to go and take like a 2 month trip. And then the next day, I find out Meghan and Harry are getting married. Can you stand it? And then, of course, the next question was, who? I had never heard of Meghan before. Well, between Thanksgiving and April 12th, the day my flight took off, I fell in love. I watched them go on all these walkabouts in the UK, and Harry introducing her to the nation, and of course her first trip to the Commonwealth before they were married, and of course the Christmas, all of those things. So having the chance to be there was like a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I'm so glad that everything, I promise you, it wasn't me, it was God. Everything just fell into place. I could not have planned a better trip. Somehow everything just came together. The entire trip was something that I would say for months after I returned home, I was euphoric. It was like the type of high that I could not put into words. I felt as though my feet were not on the ground. I was elevated. And the idea that I could buy a ticket one day and then the next day I find out there's a wedding and that I'm going to see a royal wedding of all things. I have been hoping for a day like that since 1981 when Princess Diana got married, when Lady Diana Frances Spencer got married to Charles Philip Arthur George Mountbatten-Windsor. That's how much it meant to me. I still remember the names. And I remember her father, the Earl Spencer, walking her down the aisle, and they were concerned because he had suffered a stroke, and there's that long nave at the St. Paul's Cathedral. And the first time I went to the UK, I actually went to St. Paul's because of Princess Diana. So this was just like a natural progression of the strong feelings that I had for Princess Diana. Now those strong feelings are there for Harry and for Meghan. So if my voice sounds shaky, that's because it is. Because I'm very emotional about this, but it really made that connection for me. So this is why I created this channel, was because I needed to let this out somehow. And I thank God for you all being there for me and for those that have supported this channel, either by comments or by donations or just by making sure that the count is higher every day. It's a motivation for me because I know there's someone on the other end that is listening, or perhaps they need to hear what I have to say, and I need to know that somebody's listening to me. So that's my connection to Meghan and Harry. It was this trip, and I can't help but think that none of it was by chance. And then just to punctuate the entire trip, just to put a cherry on top of it, I almost got kicked off the flight because there wasn't enough room. And then next thing you know, this oversold flight, they moved me up to a business class seat. That was the first time I had ever got on the plane and made a left turn once I stepped onto the plane. The first time. And I can't help but think, I owe it to God. I owe it to Meghan and Harry for falling in love. And I owe it to Meghan and Harry for helping me fall in love with them. And of course, the amazing people I met along the way. I even met some guy from my hometown. I recognized his university t-shirt, and we've been friends ever since. Happy anniversary to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Thank you, Meghan and Harry. Thank you for the amazing memories. Thank you, my generous donors. Thank you so much for making another week, another day of this possible. Everything so far has gone right back into the channel. And of course, thanks to everyone who has hit the like, who shared, who also leave comments. You guys have made this an amazing ride. Just a month ago, this channel was just a mere shadow of what it is. But this is like the best thing I've ever done since 3 years ago when I went to the wedding, because I have a chance to talk about it. I have a chance to share my feelings about it. I have a chance to defend two of the most dynamic people that there are out there. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, God, for making this possible. That's it for now. Please like, subscribe, share, donate, etc. If you would like to make a donation and you don't know how, to help support this channel, you can go to the comments section where you can find links to the Patreon, the PayPal, and the Cash App. Thanks for watching Royal Sussex.